Good morning. Today is May 2nd, 2023. The time is now 9 a.m. I'm Kevin Day, Chair of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. I will call this meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order. And if you do have your cell phones, please silence them at this time. And if you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Full crowd today.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning, Lord, and we just ask that as we come together and to take care of the business of the county, that you would be with us. We ask that you would guide this meeting, that you would direct it. We ask that you would work your will throughout this meeting. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Kelly, could we get a roll call?
Commissioner Day,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board, Kelly Campbell.
And additional people in the room would be Jennifer Cree, our admin.
Right, worse as it is.
Any amendments to the agenda?
None here.
Were we going to approve any minutes or not?
I believe those are on for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I sent it for tomorrow.
Okay.
I sent it yesterday.
Okay, commissioner items and let's start over here, Commissioner Flower.
I really don't have anything. I just wanted to ask where we were, what the status of our discussion for our county administrator is.
I believe we're still
Waiting for
waiting.
the Tiger team to give me the process, and they're close, like
Okay.
a couple weeks.
All right. Yeah, I'd be waiting to hear on that. So thank you for that.
No, thanks for bringing it up.
Anything else, sir?
Nothing here,
Can't.
except that we will, in the airport board meeting this Thursday, finalize our selection for our ops manager out there. Braden's got the information that they asked for and to him, and so we'll go from there.
All right. Guess what I would bring up would be, thank you, gentlemen, for changing our mid-month meeting so that we can attend this focus group, the UCOG focus group on the 17th. And I think that's on your calendars. So if you guys wanted to kind of look through that a little bit, they're here to, like I said the other day, to see how well they're doing, what they could do better, what they're doing that's working well, what they're doing or should be doing, or something like that. So I think that will end up being a good meeting on that. And then I'll mention, I believe when Rich shows up for his report, he's probably going to fill us in a little bit more on the mold situation and the mitigation that went on over there. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. That did take place, but we'll have to address it now. So, sir.
I have a question about the Council of Governments meeting. Are you planning on attending that? They're on the 17th.
Hadn't planned to.
I thought we agreed we would attend that. That's why we changed the meeting, but
Oh, wait a minute, let me see, that's the one we just moved, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
community partners.
Yeah, I planned,
focus
I
group.
planned.
Okay, so I wonder, do we want to post that as a workshop or?
It needs to be posted regardless.
I already have it posted as a meeting that the three of you would be attending with the time and date and where it's located.
Yeah.
Good, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all that I would have. Jennifer, do you have anything for us this morning?
Just wanted to report that I did get the ARPA annual report sent in, and it is, been all submitted, so we're good there.
Perfect, thank you.
That's good. I'm glad you got it in before the deadline. Okay. Public comment. Anyone has anything they would like to comment on that is not on our agenda? Please feel free to do so. See anything here in the room, any hands online? Okay,
Introduction. We ask these folks.
yes, I think we've had some people come in, so for the record, if we could have the ones that came in after our introductions, introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Rich.
Rich Smith, Sheriff.
Joni Wilcox.
Stephen Wilcox.
All right. And again, as normal, if someone has something to say at a future point, please ID yourself for the record. Rich, you're up. Boy, we got to you quick. I'm glad you showed up early.
Morning, sir.
Good. Morning.
See ya, Rich. Glad it rained on your parade finally.
Yeah, me too. And I hope it rains today.
Yeah, I hope
There's a chance today and tomorrow. So my report includes the number of transports that we made to Fremont County Jail in the month of April, and that was 8. So that was down from 6 that we made in March. Today, we actually went to go pick up a gentleman for his court appearance, and he refused to come with us. So it was a wasted trip down there
I heard him come back into the county.
from Fremont.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you go to Fremont.
He's one of our frequent customers.
Didn't know he had an option.
Well, he refused to cooperate, so the judge can do an order to use force to bring him up if that's what it
That's
is.
right. Wow.
And then at the last meeting, you asked about Fremont 911 authority costs, and I sent you an email that has a breakdown on the number of calls by Custer EMS, Custer SAR, Wet Mountain Fire, and the Sheriff's Office for the years 2019, 20, 21, and 22, and what our cost is on that. And we expect our 911 costs to go up by 5% this year and next year. And then Commissioner Kanda called me about a 911 issue that they did not have access to our current maps. And another citizen also called me with the same thing. And under the software package that we're using now, we opted out of providing them our county GIS files. However, with this new upgrade, Vern is actually in the process of a lengthy rigmarole to get those translated over so they can use them.
That's good because we keep getting people saying you can't burn and we're saying, yes, we can.
Yeah. Well, in one
Or
case,
we can't do anything.
Yeah. Well, one of the citizens called 911 at some point in the past and reported his location, and they didn't have a way to find that.
Find
on their
out, so
computer.
what, where are you on, what line are you on?
Right, yeah.
Quick question, I guess, on the cost sheet. Who? Wetmore Fire, I was looking for. I know they pay some, but I don't think we pay the full cost of that. Do you know who absorbs that?
That I think we do. I'll double check that for you when I get back. I may have just neglected to put it on here because I had a very low number. As you can see, the sheriff's office is 88 or 89% of the calls. So
So, yeah,
we're the ones spending the money.
we had a pretty slow year last year, but
Yeah.
started off pretty quick here.
This year,
last
yeah.
month.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you about those percentages. Those are the percentages of each of those entities' call volume.
Yes, sir. So, for example, in the year 2022, Custer agencies received 7,419 calls. And they compared us with all the other agencies they dispatched to, and they break it up on a percent database. So I assume maybe like Canyon PD or Fremont Sheriff gets the most bill. And then of the agencies in Custer, I broke it out for.
Yeah, those are just Custer's
Yes, sir.
agencies. Yeah, so.
You know what percentage we are of everybody else's?
I do
They
not-
gotta be overwhelming.
Oh, I'm sure they are, yeah.
Have to be.
Yeah, I find it interesting, for example, 2020 or 2019 EMS calls was 137, and last year it was 585.
So I think 2019 was a partial year,
Okay.
part done by Custer Sheriff's Office.
Oh,
Dispatch.
split it
I
year,
think
yeah.
that's what happened.
That's when it moved to
Mhm.
3 call. I think so.
So it's kind of averaging out 20 and 22, about the same.
Yep.
23. look at that.
Our calls for service, I had reported were up the first quarter of the year, January, February, and March. And then I'm pleased that our calls were significantly down in April. And
We don't have that sheet, correct?
I know,
Okay,
I can make a copy of it.
let me make sure I wasn't missing something.
And then in the last month, I did request a security assessment from the judicial administrator in Denver and the Department of Public Safety. And they sent out, each of those agencies sent out a person, and they toured the courthouse and produced a report, which I've received and I'll email to you. And the report has a caveat that it's exempt from open records requests. And it gives a reason why, because it gives like security risks and things. However, before I got the report, I was hoping to get the report. We had a deadline due for our next fiscal year grant. And so I applied for that grant and sent a copy to the commission and the chief judge. And we asked for the salary of the court security officer, which we're required to do. And then in talking with the assessors, some of the things that they recommended were upgrading a camera system, perhaps adding an alarm, looking at security film, and upgrading doors. So I included that on our grant request, and I talked to the grant administrator, and they said, basically, we're asking for like a placeholder for those funds. However, I don't want to make any decisions on the courthouse. I would like for the county commissioner, so you guys can read that report. We could have a workshop. You could decide what, if any of those things you wanted to do, and then hopefully we'd get the money, and that money starts in July. And then on top of that, the county emergency manager, Robin, called me, and she has some DHS grant funds that were very narrowly focused at what they called soft target hardening, which I think would apply to this. And so I sent her one of the quotes, and she's working up that we could possibly move that to her grant.
You got a couple other options too.
Yes, sir. Yep. And then the county commissioners are required by state statute to visit the place where the prisoners are kept once a year. And if you guys wanted me to help facilitate a day that you could do that, maybe the county commissioners and I could go down and meet with their county commissioners and their sheriff or something. But that's something we have to do before the end of the year.
And we gotta tour this outfit too.
Yep.
Well, we had the tour scheduled in February for this one, and we closed it, so I don't know if we're still required
They still detained.
to inspect it or not.
Well, I plan on going down on a regular basis.
But I mean, here.
This one,
Oh, yeah.
You think we still need to schedule
I think so.
I would think so, because they're getting locked up. Potentially.
Yeah. And so today we did bring up a prisoner who's been spending his time at the Fremont jail, but he had a court appearance. So during the delay in bringing him up and getting him into court, he's inside the jail right now. So
schedule that jail tour? And
I think it would, yeah. Would you like to do both jails the same day, or
Sure.
we could go over here and then run to town? What looks good for you, gentlemen? I guess do we need to set a couple of dates?
probably.
And
we can come back to that.
Coordinate that. Jennifer.
Okay, I'll do that.
And, because they may not have an opening when we say that can be there, so maybe get a couple of dates from them or something that we could do it and we can pick one.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, they'll probably drive it. Actually, because
Yeah,
we can do it anytime up here. That we're available.
that sounds good to you, sir?
yeah, I think so. Second week of June, the week of the 5th, we're pretty booked up. So that probably wouldn't work unless we do it on a Thursday or Friday.
I think July is pretty solidly booked for everybody.
Yeah. Week of the 19th, I'm pretty open.
Of June.
Mhm.
The 26th is my best week, but I've got the 22nd open and afternoon of the 21st. So, yeah, if you could get a couple of dates, maybe from them and see if we can make it work.
Yeah, I'm pretty open the week of the 26th of June as well.
June 26th, okay.
Yeah, that's my best week.
And then the last thing that I come to the county commissioners with is a mold problem in our building. And recently, one of our employees had a medical emergency. We actually called an ambulance for his breathing problems, and he works in the affected area. And then he mentioned offhand to me 2 weeks ago, he's like, oh, there's mold in there. And I was like, and so I immediately called the same mold guy that we use for search and rescue. They came out, confirmed it was 2 different kinds of mold. They were required to do an asbestos inspection. And so I did contact you the day of, and I authorized those payments out of my account, but I'd like to bill that to the county building maintenance.
And I believe you say that you're expecting that, you haven't got a final,
Correct.
but you're expecting it to be about 4,000.
4,000 or less.
That's including this remediation that they've already done.
Yep.
Plus some future.
Plus
remediation.
patching,
Correct.
I'm sorry.
plus patching up in way advance.
Right, yep.
You sent us, looking for that. Email, right?
Yes, sir. I sent an email, and then one thing I believe that may not have been fully documented on there was the cost of a state mandated asbestos test. And I got that back and it was negative, but we still had to pay for it.
Too much and
It's cheaper if you don't find any.
I know.
we can schedule that on consideration and pay for it for another meeting.
Okay.
So we got time.
All right. Yeah, no, that's all I have.
Okay. You want to address that today or,
But we want to put it on the agenda,
yeah, we can do that.
put it on the mid-month one.
Mid-month.
Yeah, let's do that. You might have your final by then.
And get your costs all lined up.
Yeah, I saw your pictures you sent, and that's basically before pictures. I'm assuming, and because they are gonna make it
Make it right.
But
Okay.
where are they at in Springs, did you say?
What? I think this guy's out of Pueblo.
Or well, he had a experience bidding it, so
Yep.
it's probably a lot easier this time for him.
So you don't have a price on the work that they did already. They didn't give you a price on.
I have
it.
an estimate, which I've sent to you guys, and I believe it was low 3,000s
For the work that he did this last week or altogether?
altogether. The whole thing was
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering about the
around
work that he's
4,000.
already done. He didn't bill you for that yet?
No.
Okay. Big old document, wasn't it?
What day was that one sent? I'm looking at the last email.
Friday or Thursday.
It was on May 1st.
Yesterday,
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
I thought it was Friday. Thank you. Time flies.
And they did transport with an ambulance?
No, he refused,
Okay.
but he did go seek treatment on his own and got like antibiotics.
Well, obviously, we're talking about unbudgeted expenses here, so. we'll have to
Why we need time to look at it.
deal with that. Do you think it was from rainwater dripping in from the
It
roof?
might have been, but he said it's been there for 2 years. And then it,
No evidence of a plumbing leak that you're aware of, what must have been.
and we've had a problem with water coming in the east face of the building, so we actually built an awning to direct the water out into the parking lot.
Yeah, so this room we're talking about is the evidence room, correct? Not the IT room.
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna take up more time in this meeting to discuss it. We're gonna discuss it in detail in next meeting. Have to.
Give him a second here.
I'm good.
You're good, okay. Yeah, let's, we'll put it on for the mid-month. Hopefully you got your
Final number. by then.
invoice by then and, we'll figure out what we're gonna do.
All right, thanks much.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Rick.
Rich.
Sure.
Can you send that, make sure the copy is sent out? I appreciate that.
Okay. You are up, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, how you doing?
How you guys doing?
Good to see you.
New shirt.
Nope.
Somebody's ironing it then.
It's not me and it's not my wife either.
Oh, no.
Maybe the dryer's doing it.
Doing a fine job. See, what got you in here?
No, probably not.
No.
If there is, I didn't. It wasn't from me.
You're one of those.
Yeah, I got one of those. It's amazing that the beginning of the month comes every month at the same
Same
time.
time,
Yeah.
Can't stop it.
So just real quick here, budget versus actual, 33.3% would be on track. And if we look at the bottom line, we're at 32.3 for all revenue and we're at 26.6 for all expenses. So in good shape, I would say. And I didn't think we needed to spend too much time on this because we went over our quarterly at this workshop. So
Right.
I thought that went well. I think that's my plan would be to do that every quarter and we kind of go through that in detail
On the
like we did.
High points, that's right.
Right.
Great idea.
So glad we got that going. Any questions on finances as a whole?
Hmm,
I'm good. You did a good job the other day. Nothing's changed.
Not much, just a month.
just
Tracking.
So I wonder, do we have any process in place to touch base with any of these departments if they're significantly out of the expected norm of expenses?
Currently, no, we don't.
But we would look for you to flag it if it was a significant thing.
And I can do that if that's what we would like that process. to
But we
be.
won't know otherwise.
Well, short of the quarterly report.
Or the report, but
and-
if it happens in a month later and
Right,
3 road graders tipped over and
right.
something happened,
Yeah,
we'd probably hear that.
yeah. So I'm happy to do that if that's what you would like me to do. I don't know where you all as point of contacts want that line to be drawn between you guys being involved in that and me.
Yeah, first line first and then.
Yeah, because other than that quarterly or this report, we wouldn't be privy to that information,
Right,
but I would just think if there was a red flag and you were concerned about it, I would hope that you would follow up with it, and if you need to report to us. And
Get
if
to
it's
them.
standard stuff, just something happened and they incurred an expense that they didn't expect, and it kicked them to 60 or 70% of their
sure.
budget. If you think it's something we need to be aware of, I would support bringing it to us. If not, I'm comfortable with you.
And my preference would be to come to the point of contact first, if it's road and bridge or weed board or whatever other thing that it is. And then with that, make a decision to get into an emergency meeting with us or other. That guy would do that.
Okay. Okay,
Keep us going.
that sounds good.
And I suppose that would show up when you pull this report.
Right.
So you know, if
Be a month.
as far as on a monthly
And
thing,
if it didn't get hit, that's one of those first.
yeah.
Put it on there.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else on finance?
Hmm,
And from me, I'm tickled.
so the 40 fund, the insurance.
Yep.
That's most of that includes health insurance and building insurance, or that's our liability and all of that.
Just, yeah, it's our capital assets
Okay,
essentially, and so there's two bills that go out for that, and that's the entirety for the year.
Yeah.
So you'll see that is something that you'll probably see from Virginia's report tomorrow, that fund is in the negative, and we need to ask Sam how we need to deal with that. It will be fine after this year, but because of the cash flow of property tax coming in, it's property tax isn't coming in at the same rate that the money went out. And so that's why we're at a negative in that particular fund. So I just need to ask Sam what his suggestions are there, and they've been pretty busy with tax season.
So you told us that.
And then a quick question, if I may, on Fund 60, revenue. Is that E911 money budgeted into this from revenue, do you know?
The money that actually goes into your 911,
That E911 collects from the surcharges.
that's totally set. They have a separate bank account. for
So
that.
this would be grant dollars here.
Yes, and it's property tax.
So there is some property tax money in there.
Correct. Yep.
I'm good.
you good? All right,
And then HR, just to touch on that real quick. Let you know that we're in the process of hiring an airport manager, and that's been kind of a lengthy process, but we would hope to have an answer this week. We've got an airport board meeting this Thursday, so just hard trying to get everybody together to get those things moving forward.
And that'll stay as a part-time county employee,
Correct. Yeah.
not a contract.
Right, yeah, and so that was the reasoning for moving this to an employee to begin with, is it was advised by the auditors that that truly wasn't a contract employee, because they're working and without a specific amount of time, that their contract's only for a certain amount of time or for a certain project. And so we moved forward in creating that employee. One of the different things here that we might be going towards is a part-time salaried position for the airport manager. And so I've reached out to council for that. It's not common to have a part-time salary position, but it can be done. And it just requires that somebody keeps track of their hours regardless. And part of the reasoning for that was that there seemed to be, I guess, a desire given kind of the fluctuation in how much time somebody's spending there in the winter versus the summer, to kind of even that out, average out that paycheck for the entirety of the year. So that looks kind of like where that might be heading, is a part-time salary position.
So during, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna ask how many applicants.
Two,
Yeah.
yeah, two very, very well qualified applicants, I'd say. And, yeah, excited to get somebody in that position.
So when going back to your first statement there, so during the busy season, that particular individual would be able to go over, say 32 hours a week if needed. Because of the slow time, would even that out as long as we didn't exceed a maximum number of hours annually.
Yeah, as long as, and we would need to define our look back period to figure out what the weekly hours being worked is. My suggestion is going to be still that they keep that under 30. That way we don't get into territory of needing to pay benefits and things like that. So,
That was my question.
yeah,
Kind of where my question was coming from, because they're only doing, say, 10 hours in the slow time,
right.
you know, they may need the extra hours to even that out.
Yeah.
But then that starts muddying the waters on the benefits.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's rare, is because it's harder. You have to do the same amount of keeping track, maybe even more. As you would just paying them hourly to begin with, so. But it does seem to make sense for that position too.
And eventually we may have to go to full time. If the airport's doing those, it's important to have them there when you need them. And if there's nothing happening and go home, then they gotta get back and it's needed right away, so. We'll see how it plays out for the next year.
Good.
Attorney, we'll talk about a little bit later today. And then the only other one is a deputy OEM assistant. And so what Robin has asked is if we would post that in-house to begin with. And see if we have any interest in-house first and then move it to outward. So that's the plan this week, if there's not any
Good idea.
opposition there. And then the last thing I had is I sent out the staff feedback survey presentation, and I was just wondering if there's any questions on that.
The only thing I had a comment about that was I was a little disappointed in how many non-responses she got to almost every question. 20 or 30 non-responses. But other than that, I didn't see anything that was unexpected.
Yeah, and those are the open-ended.
They just,
There was just a period put in there, or NA or something like that, so.
yeah, I didn't go back and compare the results to the actual survey. I didn't pull it back up, but
Thought it was good feedback, though. Appreciated everybody's time putting into that. That it wasn't a short survey. But I think it gives us a good baseline to kind of figure out where things are at, and some things that we had suspicions on, but not necessarily hard data to back it up. So my plan for the next 3 months is really to work on those 4 strategies that I added at the end there. And I can't.
You send that out. Did you send that out to everybody that needed to see that?
As you requested.
Yeah.
What's that?
But that was a good survey. I thought it was, wondering if she had sent it out to whoever you had it on the district.
Okay. Yeah, I sent it when I sent it out. I sent it to everybody.
I got it, so I just pulled it up.
Anything else for me?
Quick question for me,
Yeah, it's like,
different item was that salary survey that I brought from the Tampa Housing Board.
Yes.
Did you by chance have a chance to look at that yet?
Sure.
I haven't, and I've already, this our survey,
Oh, okay.
and I'm putting it, compiling it for them. And
Okay.
they've already seen it, the one from, because Lisa pulled it out.
Okay, perfect. I thought we had, but I
Okay.
didn't remember there being a,
I didn't remember,
on the
I
end of
didn't
it, so.
remember seeing it come back, so, I'll take a look back through and see if I got it.
I don't know that it was sent to you. I think it was just sent over because they haven't, the Attainable Housing Board. They're still working on gathering all of that information.
Okay,
not let me know.
alrighty, sounds good.
Good.
Ready?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You.
Have a good day today, man.
You all too. See you in a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Right.
you're coming back. You're coming back.
So,
you need-
Yeah.
Please do.
um,
All right.
And just talk to.
Mr. Cook?
If it's not something.
Look at Mighty Dapper today. Morning.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you, Vince.
too.
Those things.
Fine. Guys should be through crushing out the pit. We can start hauling fresh gravel. And we're having a lot of breakdowns. Graders. Number 9 lost wiring harness on the 6-wheel drive. Got to replace it. We're going to replace 6 hydraulic hoses on it.
Normal stuff, or did they run into something?
No,
Right,
just
yeah,
normal
underneath.
stuff they rub together, so. Number 5 blade, got a fuel issue surging. Try to fix it today, figure out what's going on. One of our belly dump trucks has got transmission problems on the low side, it's slipping, so I'm gonna take a test drive after the meeting with the mechanic and see if we can figure out what's going on with it.
The roller switch.
Yeah, we got the roller going, it's going, Komatsu's going, so we're slowly gaining. Guys are working on the sheriff vehicle right now. Daniel got one of them done. It had a new water pump put on it Friday, so it's should be able to get out of there today. It's just pressure tested in the system.
You still have the backhoe from
Yeah, well, I need to get it hauled out when I get time. We're done with it. We got to grease it and stuff. Get it washed up and sent back out.
So no pump on that number 9.
The grader.
Yeah.
Hydraulic hoses, and we don't know if the hydraulic pump is damaged. If I remember right, what Chris and Daniel told me, there's 10 pumps on the left side, 10 pumps on the right side, and one main hydraulic pump drives everything. So we don't know if there was any damage done to the hydraulic system until we get the hoses fixed and the wiring harness fixed and fire it up and see. It's good possibly might have to go John Deere, get a new hydraulic pump. Or pumps, we don't know yet.
it's in the yard now.
Yeah, it's in the shop now, tore apart.
You tracking budget wise?
No, gonna be over on gravel and then on the maintenance part, we're already $45,000 on maintenance in the budget, 60,000. Parts are killing us. Breakdowns.
But you're not at a point where you're gonna blow out of the trades you can make internally.
Yeah, no, I can trade spots. I won't use all the mag money up, and I don't think I'll use all the asphalt money up. I did get a bid from 2 different asphalt people that are for the chip oil spread. The one was 99,000. And the other bid was between 80 and 90 for 3.16 miles just for the tack oil. But if we don't chip some of these roads, we're gonna lose them. So we're gonna do 3.16 miles, which is Colfax. This year.
Is there a way to trade now that they're doing 96, maybe with some asphalt?
Their plant is,
Leverage in some
I-
price,
their plant that they're doing the asphalt is in Walsenburg.
right?
So it's like, what, 70 miles from Walsenburg to here?
That's right.
So you got more mileage, but you might be cheaper on the tonnage, but you're gonna burn more fuel. So, and then I priced asphalt from Fremont Paving. Last year was $95 a ton. This year it went up to $105 a ton. It could come down. I don't know yet till we get started.
How many tons did they end up crushing out there?
40,
Is that where you had budgeted?
a little over, but we have a lot of roads, especially on Boneyard. 255 needs a lot of gravel. It's just nothing but black soil. And even if you mag it, if we gain moisture during the summer, it just turns to mud and people are sliding off the road. We got to put cover on it.
Still not a lot of road base.
It's like
Gravel.
1,250 loads of road base.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Cause you initially went for budgeted 30, I think.
yeah. But after seeing, I went over and it's like, well, but I can cover it.
Well, and to me, it's a good thing if we go over, better than being under.
Yeah, because like I said, County Road 255 needs a lot of gravel and spots. It's just the people, for safety, we got to cover it.
You know, I was on Berry Loop yesterday and there's not a lot of cover on. A
No,
bunch of that.
there's
road
very
either,
loop, it needs
so.
covered, and 255, parts of 265, parts of 271. We got approximately between 20 and 30 loads left at the Kagan pit on 255 to use on the Boneyard roads. And then that will be gone. But the thing I'm gonna be over on budget is gravel and maintenance this year. The parts are just so expensive.
I think
Crazy.
we went through our quarterly the other day. I was surprised. I was surprised that your fuel and the sheriff's fuel, they were actually tracking pretty good. So I think we must have accounted for that a little bit more.
Yeah, and we didn't have a lot of snow to plow this winter, so that saved us on fuel.
We had hardly any.
Yeah, so that saved us a lot on fuel. So now, right now, we're getting roads ready, prepared for Meg, and that's start the third week of this month. Start Megan roads, if the weather provides.
Like it may. Probably will.
Yeah.
Are they fully staffed?
No, I had to get rid of one employee today. I won't go into details, and Sherry put it out in the paper yesterday, so we're another employee.
And that one is what you're short, other than that.
Yeah, other than that, we're fine, and I've been helping out, so I don't mind. I like to get out and work with the guys.
We still have a female employee, right?
No.
She left.
Yes,
She went back to
Okay.
work for,
she works for United States Postal Service, I think somewhere in Denver.
Okay, I'm good.
And
Okay,
Thank you for coming in.
all right,
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna go to work.
Good to see you.
Yep. Find out what's the matter with that outfit. Which number 9?
oh, that truck.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go test drive it with Chris.
Okay.
I don't know if it's air valve. It only does it in the low side. It doesn't do it in the high side. It just slips.
Yeah. It's clutch, you think you do it all the time, it's run through the same gears.
So I
all the
don't know.
time. Yeah,
I have no idea. We'll find out here in 30 minutes.
alrighty.
Good morning. How are you? I'm good. How are you today?
Good.
you're back.
Hey, Kevin. Hi, Bill. Good morning.
Been gone?
No.
Oh.
No.
Didn't think so. but
I went to that one conference in mid-April. Otherwise, been around.
Oh, let's see, this is the wrong report.
You got the
You
right-
better go to the,
The right one.
You knew you were gonna hear about
I
that.
know I did. I clicked on it this morning
Let me
to
pull
print it
that one.
and I said, that is not the right report.
oh, she might have already changed
I
it.
I
think
did,
she
yeah,
I
I
think she
did.
did,
He
yeah.
made second.
Yeah. Right.
She got-
So nothing but good things from the extension office. We are rocking and rolling. Our programs are doing really well. We have some new programs this year. We have Heritage Arts that we're doing. We have new kids involved in that. Our horse and our llama programs are starting up. Llama started last week, horse is starting up this week. We had our small animal weigh-in this month. We did 22 sheep, 14 goats, and 25 pigs. So we're going to have a robust fair this year, which is super exciting. Our robotics program, we got in all of our supplies from CSU, picked those up, and that competition is mid-June. Shooting sports is underway and doing great. We have a really competitive shotgun team, and we can only send 5 kids to the state competition this year, so it will be really fun to watch them compete and lean on each other to improve and see who gets to go to the state shooting competition this year. We've been getting out a lot of soil and water testing kits, obviously, and doing some plant ID and that kind of stuff. Our Health Rocks program, we've been doing that in the school and also in Fremont County. We do a little pilot program this Friday, and then the 19th, Friday, the 19th of May, teach it as a camp, as a 1 day, to see how that filters out. And then we can possibly get some grant money for doing that. So we're working on that. And we had a huge carnival and Easter egg hunt. It was great fun, great turnout. Each club was able to raise money by doing games. Each club came up with games. They sold tickets for 25 cents a piece. So they were able to raise some funds for things that they want to do within their clubs. We raised a total of around $800. It was a little less than that, I think, but it was close to $800.
Did they do that with the Wetmore Club or whatever?
The
other club?
Top Hands Club from Wetmore came up and they had a booth as well and did a game. So it was all of our clubs and they had a really good time. We got lucky with the weather right at the end. It started getting cold and windy, but the beginning for the meat of it, the weather was really good.
Skies
So it was
parted.
yeah,
Sunshine.
it did.
A few
It
minutes.
did, so it was really good. We have started our advertising for the advisory committee, so thank you for your support in that. We put the cutoff date as May 15th. And then that'll give us time to, talk to those who are interested, select a extension advisory committee, and then hopefully have it in place after fair to get started for the next year. So we have another break. So our next 4-H year and a year here in our other extension programs is we get a little more input from the community, what the community wants to see. We're dialed in pretty good with our 4-H. Now we need to dial into our community in other areas.
Yeah.
So
You're a new horse leader?
we do have a new horse leader and
Okay.
do you know how it is? Earl. Spice.
Who in the world builds 3,500 Easter eggs?
Great question.
They were upstairs.
Yes, we did. We had a group of our members. We actually, we had a couple of separate egg fillings, and then we took up everything that was remaining down to the basement and they just showed up. Tons of kids showed up and they had it done within 30 minutes. They were finished. So it was good. Yes, they were machines. It was great. And they had a good time. I think they were like, eat a candy, stuff a candy, but it was a lot of fun.
And you don't get those eggs back?
We do.
Keep those
Actually,
old
we
eggs.
gave the kids the opportunity. We put out baskets and said, we love to recycle.
Recycle
And we
your
did,
plastic.
we got almost all of them back. So it'll be great for next year. We won't have to rebuy. And we have great community members that also donate, so. But it was nice to get, we got most of them back. And interestingly, for anybody who's at fair, each age group had an egg that had a slip of paper in it for a prize basket. Well, every age group but one found that magic prize egg. So there is still one somewhere on
One's
the
out there,
fairgrounds. So at fair time, if anyone finds it, they can claim the basket.
At the fair.
Right, they can redeem it for their basket. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody finds that. So.
Cool.
And back to the horse thing. Superintendent, I'm curious to know if Kelly is involved this year. I have not asked her that. Are you the superintendent? Or a leader?
I'm pondering.
So if you'd like to send Kelly cookies, dinner, gift cards, massage packages, anything like that we can do to encourage her.
We do all of that now. We get our minutes.
And
We have to do it again.
it's working.
It is.
So there you go. There you go.
We don't have any extra eggs left. We ate it at dinner.
Yeah, we appreciate Kelly and her history and her knowledge, and we respect whatever decision you make, but we would love to have you if you can find it. But we totally understand. So we're still
Well,
waiting on that.
That's good. Any new building update out at the fair?
So at our last fair board meeting, we talked about it, and we kind of put the cutoff date for our meeting, which is next week. One of the fair board members is working with the construction company to try to get it done, but delays and things keep getting pushed, and we are now at the point where we have to make a decision about whether that's going to happen or not, and that decision will be made next week based on where we're at with the construction company and building supplies. So right now I was out there the other day, there's nothing happening. So probably will not happen, I would guess, before fair. None of us wants to be in a situation where we have everything torn up at fair time.
Right.
So.
Not like last year.
Right.
Where it was the last minute. Everybody got
Hammer and
hammered.
nails as people are bringing their animals into the barn. Yeah, that was not good. So that's all right. That's all right. We got through it and it turned out just fine. So
Mm.
we'll try not to create unneeded chaos this year before. Any other
Good.
questions?
No, thank you
Okay.
for all your work.
Thank you. Y'all have a great afternoon.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks.
She's on the phone getting hold of Dorothy. You guys need a break or anything, or are we good to go?
I do have Robin sent me a text and asked if there was any way she could get her report today. I didn't see her text until now. So I wanted to see if that is
Yeah.
a possibility.
She wants to give it verbally. She told me she hadn't sent.
She sent it to me. I didn't send you tomorrow.
So yeah, we can.
So,
She
If she
can't
wants
be
to-
here personally now, or is she?
I don't know.
I think that's why she wanted to do it today. She can
Yeah.
come in person
Yeah,
today.
tomorrow she can't.
If you want to give her a call and tell her, yeah, she can come on over and we'll
And then
take her.
I'll drop that report. So she sent it at 8 and I just didn't look at the text.
Call Dorothy.
She,
I've already done it.
she called Dorothy. She's on her way.
Okay. So I'm good to wait.
Okay. Well, all right, you got it done. This
Got
time.
that secret sauce.
Getting-
Took a while.
You get a gold.
You actually have to pull that guy down. To get that, won't do it on its own.
Yes.
I just,
Or I do. You
Sure.
Yeah.
We are.
Because, Just walked in this
We
morning.
try, we run ahead for a while and then we fall behind.
You made it.
I've made it. I'll try to make it sweet, simple. Keep you on track.
All right.
Just to give you a rundown of how we are doing so far. So far in April, or for the month of April, we were up 6. I guess I should stop and not rush through this. We had, up at the top, we had 5 septic inspections, which was a little low compared to other months. We have 11 special conferences, which is really any meeting that we have with any other entity or property owner, things like that. We do have had a lot of those recently because we've been trying to work with different SUPs that are in the process. We had 4 compliance inspections, so that's basically going out and reviewing the home, making sure that everything's compliant. We had 9 violation reviews, which is anytime we have a cease and desist. Some of that may be investigating a complaint, things like that. 2 septic contractor tests were given. One actually was added to our contractor list. The other one was doing it just as a homeowner, wanting to install their own septic. For our overall septic permits and last year.
Can I ask you a quick
Yep,
question? about
sorry.
Well, 2 things. One, are you the only one doing septic inspections?
Yes, sir.
You're not hiring anybody to do those?
I have not.
And the compliance inspections on dwellings or
Yes.
not?
Dwellings could be an accessory building. A lot of times, working with the assessor's office, if there's not electric or plumbing in the accessory building, we'll either drive by and pick a picture, one of us when we're out in that area, or we'll ask them to send us in a picture if it's not, because there's not a lot to look at there necessarily. So for permits issued in the month of April, we were up 6 septic permits compared to last year. 1 dwelling permit compared to 1 more dwelling permit compared to last year. We're up 19 compared to last year for the accessory building. So that's a garage, a barn, anything other than a dwelling. Overall zoning permits, we were up 20 compared to last year. So building in our county is definitely continuing to stay at a high level, even increasing.
Just for now, for sure.
Yeah.
As these rates change.
Permits issued year to date, I guess that was just April. Year to date, we're up 15 on the septics. Zoning permits, the dwellings are up 14, non-dwellings are up 15 compared to last year. And overall total zoning permits, we're up 29. Now that doesn't include the septic permits that are listed there. And on the next page, I did notice, and we'll get to it, but I have some duplication in my report, so I'll mention that when we get down there. I don't know how to change that report because it's part of our zoning permit system, but anyway, overall, January through April, from a financial standpoint, our zoning permits were up 37,000, almost 37,500 compared to last year. Septic permits were up 6,000. Our use tax is up 86, almost 87,000. Other income, which is SUPs, STRs, things like that, is down a little bit. And I was kind of questioning myself as to why that was, because it seems like we've had quite a few recently, but we had all of our STRs, or not all of them, but we're working on getting all of our STRs to renew at the end of the year. So a lot of that revenue went in last year at the end of the year. So that's kind of why that's down a little bit.
And I would think it would naturally come down because we put a cap on those. We're just not gonna get as many.
Right. And, you know, I thought it'd be higher just with the additional SUPs we've had as coming through, but we're right close, 2,000 down from last year, so it'll probably all come out in the wash at the end of the year when we start renewing the STRs for the next year. Overall, our total income so far for this year is up 128,539. And the next thing down there is our state septic surcharge. That's just a pass through. We charge $20 for each septic permit, and that goes back to the state. So that is up, which coincides with the number of septics being increasing. And then the next portion is a duplicate.
Yeah.
So
Your other income is, do you believe that's all short-term rental stuff?
I think it's STRs, SUPs. I'm sure there's
Not
other things that go in there. Any variances that somebody applies for, that would go into that particular category.
You can't break STRs out of that. Listed separately in your reporting.
Not on the report system that we're in right now, but I could probably look at how we could do that. I can tell you, we've filled all of our STRs this year with the exception of 2 in zone 3. So that would be, what do we do, 80 a year for? No, 3, 6, we do 80 a year.
Right.
So there's
Totally.
6 STRs in there
Yeah,
for,
two open, 6 quoted still.
so 6 have paid and been processed through. If tomorrow's goes through. And then we
Okay.
have 3 in the pipeline already for next year. And there may be a 4th coming in any day, and that'll fill zone 4 if those were to all go through for next year.
And we're considering 1 tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
And is that in that 6 or would that be number 7?
That's in that 6.
Okay.
No, yes, that's in that 6.
Okay.
Yeah. They're taking over STR that was already there in the past, so, but we did include that as taking the one that was open in zone 1. So. The next sheet is just our overall financials. And I think we've kind of talked about it, just kind of showing the year to month, each month. Continuing to increase each month for the year, and I kind of expect that to continue as the summer months will definitely pick up. Our overall income, total receipts so far for the year is 231,313. So we're having a good year so far. Any questions on that part?
Probably no way to track on the use tax. How much difference we're going to see compared to years prior.
I can try to come up with something like that. I can tell you, we have some very, very large homes being built. And that's what's driving some of it right now. We had a gentleman come in, for example, yesterday, we did 2 very large dwelling permits. Our revenue yesterday, hopefully I'm saying this correctly, was $39,000. So we had a bang up day yesterday, and we were closed for the meeting for a good portion of the day. So it just depends on the size of the home, and that's what's driving the use tax. There's some huge
Big
homes.
homes.
Yes,
Yeah, it'd just be nice to know the use tax that was being collected by other counties that are now being collected by us
no,
through purchases of building materials. I don't know.
I guess we can say pretty much all of that before was going to a different county, a good portion of it. And talking to the contractors, a lot of them do their business out of our county. The comment to me is they stay local when it's an emergency, when it's something they forget. Otherwise, it's not worth their while to buy locally because it's too expensive. And I'm just relaying the feedback that I get from them because
Sorry.
we've started having those conversations with the contractors to make sure the use tax process is working. And it's
Yeah,
working.
and if what you say is accurate, then you're probably right. Lion's share of that,
Yeah,
87,000 would be probably collected by other counties.
I believe so.
Huge, huge deal.
But yeah, it's hard. To your first question, it's hard for us to track that as to how much of that was coming back to us.
Mhm.
I don't think there's any way to get it to an exact
Yeah, and
science.
it doesn't come from another county, it doesn't come back.
Pueblo County collects it,
They keep it.
they keep it.
Okay.
But they're not collecting it if we collect
Right,
it first.
exactly, yeah. So probably a fair assumption to say that that was revenue lost historically.
Any other questions about this so far?
Oh, that's good. Thanks.
I had, so far this month, we've really dropped down on the number of compliance letters we've sent out. Just mainly because we're trying to deal with some of the current, last year, I think, or last month, I think we did. Over probably around 100. This, we're kind of following
Catching
up
up now.
on all those, doing the back end paperwork. We have this month done 4 cease and desists already, and that is illegal STRs. One was a hazardous waste material type of situation. So 3 of them have been STRs, the other one's the hazardous waste. I do have 2 additional, so far we've done 3 STRs that we've identified running illegally. We have 2 more that we've identified that I still need to get out there too. And one of the interesting things, last Friday, we spent most of our day looking at the STRs and not just basically what we're doing is going through Airbnb or VRBO and kind of comparing what our list is compared to what they have, looking at what we have out in the county. And in addition to doing that, we're pulling every file that has an STR as we get to that particular posting. And what I'm finding, at least 2 so far have told us they have a local agent and they don't. And that is one of the things that is written in the resolution that they need to notify us. Number 1, they need to have a local agent or be present in the county themselves to manage that property when it's being rented. So we have at least 2 that have violated their short-term rental contract with us.
That they already had been approved and
They've been approved.
Okay.
But they've
early on and now
they violated that 5-day, they need to give us 5 days notice in order to change their property manager. And I did talk to the planning commission about this yesterday as well. They're aware of it. And they're very much set towards these things need to be addressed. So I am out there working on addressing that as well.
so it was a thought of getting them to comply. Is it working with them, or are you gonna have them getting back in line?
I think their thought process was that it's revoked and they would go back into line.
You'll finalize that somehow.
Yeah, and honestly, I think in some cases, it depends on the whole situation. One of them I know I've been working with since almost the 2nd week I was in my position. And all along, I've been told I have this local manager. And after talking to the local manager, they've never contracted that person. So that I think is a definite,
Pretty agree.
I understood what was
Yeah, they're
expected
making
of
an honest
me.
effort, or there's other kind of a mistake. I mean, you're working on case by case.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the other one, I still need to sit down with. I think I'd rather sit down with them one-on-one or on the phone and say, help me understand this. And if they truly didn't understand that was their obligation to let us know, then I'm more than willing to work with them.
Good.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the language in the resolution. If it comes down to revoking an STR.
I think it falls more under the SUP process than it does specifically on the STR.
Because it is.
And I did mention to them that we might want to look at the language when we make our changes. We have our workshop coming up later in the month, and that's on my things that my list of things.
I would assume the Board of County Commissioners actually votes on the revocation, right?
You're correct. You are correct.
Recommendation from the
I would-
PT or not. I don't remember how that language
I
is.
have to read it again, Tom. I don't know if it. I think it comes from myself or the planning commission, but I will make sure that that's correct. I did talk to them about this one, so they are in line with my thinking. So I will eventually add that. I want to make a few more phone calls in regards to that one. I don't want to just revoke somebody's opportunity to
Right.
have a short-term rental without really making sure we have all our i's dotted and our t's crossed.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an egregious violation of the resolution. Then I think we need to move forward, but
There's other underlying factors that would make me make the decision with this particular one.
understood.
And you know this one, if you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
We all do. That's really about all I have. Oh, I just got off the phone with the Division II Water Resources. And we are going to be working together to put together a process. And possibly put it out with several counties on, I'll give you an example. So if I get a multi-dwelling variance request, then that needs to go to the Division II Water Resources. So that basically what I was talking to Ivan, what we're gonna do is work up a form. Fremont County does it already, but we're gonna kind of streamline it for Custer County. So basically, I would hand that form to the individual. They then would either bring it back to my office or take it directly to Division II Resources. And that would keep us in line with what the Division II Resources are doing with lot line variances, vacation of lot lines, things like that. They want to be in the loop as to what's all happening in our county. And
I think
that
it's
all,
huge, it's great that they now want to know and be on top of what's going on, so they don't just keep issuing these stuff as well. They're handy.
yeah.
We don't have anything to say about it.
That does not include the 35 acre.
Right.
But they don't have any control over that, and that's happening. We have another one that's dividing. I believe it is 2,000 acres into 35 acre subdivisions. In addition to the one that just happened with an even larger.
And we have to sync up because we don't control water either, but water and zoning control the density.
Yeah, but according to state law, I can't touch the 35 acre
That's right.
divisions.
But at least they want to know. So I think that's a positive.
This is what he's requesting is just for the little stuff. It's not the big stuff. He doesn't have anything to do with it like we don't. Unfortunately.
Yeah, if somebody wants to subdivide 2,000 acres, they don't even come to the county, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
The only place that does the assessor's office.
Unless it gets smaller.
Well, you assume 35.
Yeah, if you assume the 35, so we have no right to do that.
Any questions?
Where are we at with the status of the hemp grow? So,
He has that listed for sale, the property. It's questionable how it's listed, but I'll address that, I guess, when the time comes. Because
buyer beware, huh?
What does that mean?
it's out on Adams Avenue on Centennial Ranch.
Yeah, but what I mean is, what does it mean? Overall, what's the question about it? Fire be
Oh,
what's the big deal?
Just, so basically they had an accessory building. Now they're renting it, they're listing it as a cabin. They have 2 lots and they're selling it either way. They can go with buying just one lot, one of the 2 lots, or they can buy both the lots together.
Mhm.
It was set up originally for the industrial mill. So it has what they were calling,
Commercial building or where,
yeah,
whatever.
a little dinky hut that they were gonna use as kind of like their kitchen to put everything together for the soap. That now has been built and is connected to a septic, so they're advertising it as a cabin, which it's not permitted as a cabin, it's permitted as an accessory building. I haven't been out there to look at it. They have not closed the permit on that, but I did speak to the realtor, somebody from out of town. And they know how things are permitted.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was my concern about buyer beware. If a realtor tries to sell that as a hemp farm, they don't have a special use permit to run the process.
Right, unless they go and reapply or apply to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
If
not,
that's what they want to do.
yeah, I guess it's their choice. They're selling the, I don't think they've been erected yet, but the greenhouses, they have everything ready for them to put
So
up.
they're gonna sell it with equipment and.
Yeah.
Build it if they decide it, if that's a purchaser that wants to do that.
From what I understand, yeah.
You can't live in an accessory development,
They would have to come in and re-permit that,
and they can't process out there without a special use permit.
right?
That's what I
Depends
was
on how it gets listed there.
concerned about.
Alright.
Anything else?
Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good day. Thank you.
too.
And there.
So Robin, you're taking a vacation tomorrow?
I am going to an exercise. You guys ready or? Ready?
You are?
No, we're good. How are
Good to
you?
see you.
Thank you.
I'm
How
good.
many phones you got there? sir?
Just 2,
Okay.
just my
Big,
personal.
big, big.
I thought
Well,
that-
you know, I always have to have it
I
on.
thought that case was the 3rd one.
No, that's my wallet.
Okay.
I don't have a wallet.
Yeah,
Similar.
yeah, yours is nicer than mine, but it's getting beat up.
Mine's pretty bad shape.
Yeah,
She left her 2 radios in the truck.
yes, I did. And the extra battery. Well, thanks for fitting me in, because yeah, well, it is stuck in the truck because part of the truck. We'll save that discussion for later. Thanks for fitting me in today, because I'm going to the CSEP exercise tomorrow, so the emergency manager Joshua Johnson in Pueblo is having all the surrounding EOC managers come in, and they're gonna do a change in command. So we'll get an opportunity to observe that and possibly be the EOC manager during part of the exercise. It is their last CSEP exercise, and I don't know if you're familiar with all of that, but the international treaty to get rid of all the military grade weaponized hazardous materials, and mostly in Pueblo, it's the mustard. And that program is winding down after about 40 years. We're one of the last sites to close in Colorado, and then the other one is Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky. And so it's their last full-scale exercise before they do their closeout. And what it has afforded them, which of course we can take advantage of mutual aid wise, is some very big billions of dollars of funding over the years to upgrade their equipment, their EOC. They have a $10 million EOC. Just a fabulous place. So anyway, you know, that is our biggest neighboring asset is Pueblo and all of their teams and equipment, etc.
They're shipping that mustard gas west.
No, they burn it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have a contractor PCAP. They built about 5 years ago a facility to extract the weaponized agent from the bullets, and then they put it through a machine and then they burn it. And then they've gone through a lot of
CDC type. And Department of Health, you know, because of it being an airborne contaminant, then they were gonna take about 10 years to burn it. But they were able to burn it at a higher rate, put the parts per million into the air. Yeah, so it's been a process. It's nothing you want in your backyard, I can tell you that. But it'll be gone.
Did they
soon.
start with the water and then go to the burning, or did they?
They were going to do aqua, they were gonna do a water. And then they got the approval to burn because they burned down in McClellan. Down at Fort McClellan, the old Fort McClellan, Alabama. So they felt the efficacy of the burning, but I mean, no matter what, you're polluting something. So I guess
Better not
that's,
to get it in the water and get it in the ground.
I guess, I mean, you know, just one thing always becomes another, but so it's an interesting program, international treaty, of which we were supposed to be done by, I think, 2017 or 2015 or something. They had to extend that international treaty. So that kind of stuff and super funds, you know, stay away from that, that'd be good. So good news for our grants. I'm getting to know the EMPG grant. The 2023 application was made last year, signed off by everyone. And then now I'm working on the grant reports for the quarter. And the narrative report was submitted early and our request for reimbursement is delayed. I'm having some difficulty finding everything in the records. Been spending quite a bit of time with finance, trying to come up with the appropriate receipts and documentation to request somewhere in the vicinity of $18,000 for reimbursement, which is 50% of my salary, and the other salaries, which has gotten a little complicated because of the interim and the way that the assistant OEM was hired. So we may not be capturing all of that salary reimbursement just due to some goofy things that happened, I guess. So I think some of you have signed, I know Kevin signed some stuff for me last week for the report, and I have a couple more things, scope changes that I have to have signed. So it's going to be a little bit late. Our reimbursements are supposed to be the last of the month following the quarter. But I've been working with Christy Coleman on that, and yeah, and so she's allowed us a couple more days to get some things straightened out. There was some inappropriate coding in the budget. So I'm trying to get a letter written by Braden explaining that one of the pay periods was incorrectly coded in the budget. Because what they do for a request is they look at our detailed budget and all of the documentation, and you know, that's what finance does, is they just match everything together and everything has to be exact. So that's a little bit of difficulty for this quarter, but I don't anticipate that being an issue in the future. So HMPG. FEMA approved the Custer County Hazard Mitigation Plan update on April 13th. So we are just following up then. We had the signed resolution from BOCC. We have one from Silver Cliff and West Cliff and Wet Mountain Fire Protection District. We're waiting on Round Mountain. Their BOT meeting is the 18th of May. So just as soon as that gets done, the whole package then gets pushed forward. And then we will have 5 years before that deadline will come up. So we'll start again, and if we need to before then, but 2027, and start working on an update for 2028. We do have both Pueblo and Huerfano that are starting their mitigation planning cycle now.
Yeah.
And you may get invites to attend that. I know I did. And they do want neighboring counties to have input into their mitigation plan. So I'll probably go to one of their planning meetings sometime during the next year for both of those jurisdictions. but that's one down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for all the work you've done to make that happen.
thank you. We're very close. We're actually done, except for just
Yeah.
that one resolution that got pushed into May, and they didn't want to call a special meeting because it cost them dollars to do that. So I said we could wait. We then have the next plan due, the emergency operations plan for Custer County. We did have a 2021 draft, but it did not apparently come to this body for formal approval. So we're doing a quick update, which Bill Christie asked each one of the departments in the county offices to provide input on the 2017-21 draft. And then we have most of those edits made. I'm waiting on a few things, working with Vernon to get census data for 2020 and a few other things. So that does have to be approved by BOCC, another resolution that should be ratified by the end of May. And I'm going to start pushing that out to all the other entities that will sign off on that, because technically the towns and special districts don't have emergency managers. They will sign on to this plan just like they did the hazard mitigation plan. So I am hoping that we have a BOCC the middle or end of May that I can do that presentation.
You're ready.
Okay,
You got to.
okay. And we'll send it to you in advance, because it's about 180 pages, something like that. So it's a significant read if you're
Please do.
going through every page. Probably the most important page in the whole plan is how we set up the EOC. And that's the one that has like a bunch of circles and diagrams. It's basically a chart of organization.
Sure.
Yeah, and so that we have made no changes of, the span of control is pretty high in some of those areas. So, if you count the boxes and say we need these many people to go in the EOC, it's probably actually higher than that, because some of the new ICS protocol is that we supervise 1 to 5, and that used to be more like 3 to 10 or 3 to 7, but now the new protocols are saying, because of safety, that we're not supposed to have that span of control, that management span of control beyond 5. So we'll work on that in their next iteration of that. And then there is the Homeland Security Grant. Bill's aware of this, that and you all are aware of part of it. The variable message signboards that were purchased by the commissioners were also a Homeland Security Grant item. So when you all purchased those variable message signs, a redo of the scope change was not performed with Homeland Security. Therefore, when I came, I was like, well, we don't want to just lose that money. So let's do a scope change. We did some analysis, and we thought that a portable generator was one of the highest needs in the county, as not too many of the buildings actually have a generator. And of course, being portable would be fabulous, being able to take it to a shelter or senior center or whatever. And that was denied. That was denied last Thursday. So we have $25,000 in the budget because it needs to fit under the proposal of soft targets, different Homeland Security line than the public information sharing that was the variable message signs. We did not know that when we submitted. So there was a misfire somewhere along the line. But we have a security assessment that was performed about a week ago for the courthouse, and then also some security things for the school that we should be able to put under this heading of soft targets. So it's providing more security and more hardening for potential infrastructure. So at this time, I have about $20,000 proposal. We're going to add 2 monitors, the screens for security that have all the different, when you have the cameras and you have all the shots, where you can see all of them. The monitoring for particularly the courtroom and human services. And then there'll be monitors so people can actually monitor what's going on, especially if we have
Some event or some kind.
potential, some potential going on for disruption. So that's what I'm working on to potentially still salvage this $25,000. The proposal would have to be submitted this week. They would have to review it at the regional level, push it up to the state level, go to the FEMA level. And then if they were able to approve that prior to May, end of the month, we would have to secure, install, and invoiced by the 31st of May. So this is a walk on water job. If we can get this done, it is certainly going to be one of the shortest
Well, how we can do that,
turnarounds.
get it installed if that's the requirement.
Yeah,
That's why I asked her that. Take a look at it.
yeah. So the bid was made on April 20th. So it's a current bid.
Well, they allowed us a chance to redo it. Why can't we get an extension on when it's due or when we get it operational? Have you looked into that? Seems, or is that too hard to ask?
I can always ask, but I seriously doubt if that would be approved. We've had 3 years to spend the money. We did not make a scope change after the variable signs purchase, which was 2020. And that's when this grant came out. All security funds Homeland Security funds run a 3-year grant. So we unfortunately have drug our feet on that 3-year grant, but I will certainly ask for an extension.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'm a little confused about something.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how the variable message signs enter into the conversation with Homeland Security grant.
Okay, so
It was separate one.
lots and lots of grants are project-based. So they don't just help with salary, operating costs, etc. You submit a project and they do it by project. In the 2019 grants, we had secured Homeland Security money through that process, and not every penny was spent. So in the 2019 grants, there was some leftover funds that actually went back to the region. Now, I'm pretty sure you understand, whenever you have grant money, it's always seen as a black mark when you give money back. And so those 2019 funds were not expended. We are trying our best not to have that happen in the 2020 grant. But there were apparently variable message signs submitted to the Homeland Security grant previously, according to Cindy Howard, who was the EM, and it was denied. So I think we tried again as a project in 2020. And at that time, it was awarded for that project.
Because of COVID.
And then the COVID money came in. And then I don't know how that decision making, happened here at this level.
I wasn't aware that the variable message signs were approved in the 2020 grant.
So now we're just dealing with the results of some miscoordination again at this Homeland Security level. And if we have 3 years now, just to go on, because it doesn't end. No money was actually secured from 2021 Homeland Security grant. So we don't have any money that'll be running out in 2024. We have an air quality monitoring project in 2022. And that will be in concert with Cliff Brown unless we choose to change the scope for that project. We did not submit for Homeland Security funding in February of this year because the interim did not put a project forward. So we are kind of in between these grants. Those grants are also dwindling. And these projects, when we put them forward, are competition at the regional level. So the lessons of these things are better communication, more transparency, among our units. And secondly, just to have the darn projects on the table pretty clearly, so that when a grant comes along, I call it shelf ready. We can just say, okay, we already have a proposal for the security cameras. We already have a proposal for the keys, to be hard keyed instead of hard keyed or whatever. So that's my goal, is to have enough projects on the table. So when we have grant opportunities, we can just, instead of scrambling, because these grant deadlines are significantly short in almost every single one.
Makes sense. We were told at the time, and then we procured those signs legitimately. They were there.
Yeah,
I don't see why now that has, I'm with Tom, I don't understand what the miscommunication was, but we can sort that out.
I mean, we can buy more. The money is there to buy more. I
If we
don't
need
know
more,
if
I don't know,
we
we
need
need more,
more.
but why? Yeah, so it was just earmarked only for that. That's been the issue then.
Yes.
There was evidently more money that could earmark differently later if we didn't want it to, but so now we're in cleanup mode.
We're definitely in the scramble mode,
Okay.
and we'll be lucky if we don't have to give the money back. I'm doing my best to come up with an eligible project that has to be in the soft targets area.
So we don't
That
have,
is,
so we're running out of time is why I'm kind of, I'm sorry.
yeah,
We need to talk about that.
Right.
It's the 1st of May.
right.
You got to the 30th of May to spend X dollars, up to 25,000 apparently.
Uh-huh.
And that we could have done this a couple of years ago if we didn't know.
Yes,
So.
Good
we can-
summary.
Then you'll be able to get to us on how we clean up our acts later on,
Mhm.
making sure we can see everything.
yeah, but I was just trying to say, it's a little bit of a domino.
So that's.
So I got a couple questions on it.
Mhm.
What was the total amount of that grant?
25,000. In the budget.
Okay.
Before we
but
were
there
at-
were 3 boards bought off.
We
of
already
that
bought
grant.
it.
You bought the 3 boards, they were 15,000 each, so it was $45,000 through I have the name of the company.
Right, it was not where.
Okay, where
was
did
it the
that
same
money
grant
come out of?
he's asked?
That's my question. Because you said the grant was only 25, that's 45,000 for the boards.
Yeah, but to my point.
Right.
Commissioner Day, if I may,
Yes,
that's why I asked, these variable message signs don't have anything to do with Homeland Security grant. None.
Correct.
Are you aware where the money came for to buy those?
Those were COVID.
Yes, coronavirus relief fund dollars.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
that's what I wanted to make
Now,
sure.
so we have
so,
2 really good options on the table. We have the cameras and the security here at the courthouse. We also have the front door, okay? And that has to do with some Kevlar bulletproof type. The way the glass shatters, it doesn't, it's not
Front door of,
the courthouse. Courtroom, sorry.
Not just door, the courtroom.
So those are 2 projects that we could put forward in the next couple of days. We're just following up on the actual procurement. Number 2, we have to be very careful about our bid process because both of those projects, I believe, could satisfy the sole source bid. Because there aren't a lot of providers that provide the same service. And of course, we don't have
Don't have the
Local
time to do
providers.
it. in
And we don't
any
have the
way.
time to
So
do the
so if it
bidding, but-
Satisfies that, you need to clarify that.
Yeah, well, we still have to follow procurement, even if, unless there's an emergency bid process that I'm not aware of.
has there been any discussion about a new metal detector for the courtroom?
Don't think so.
Because the courts also deal with the court security grant,
Right,
which is how they got the entrance put in that they have now. a
Okay.
front door. But they've had issues with this metal detector. I would think that would be a soft target, but. I don't know, you might-
I would think so. It would fall under active shooter, so it's a metal detector and they had a gun. Although I have to say, I've seen people just walk around it. I don't think it's.
the only time they
Yeah.
utilize it is when
So it's
they're
in session.
courts in session.
Just thought.
Okay, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna come back with a proposal here, you're gonna tell us what the
Yeah,
plan is.
yeah, once I
You're
get
gonna
the
go
bids,
get
I
it
can
done.
just email those bids to you and let you know, what we're gonna go forward for, but, there's other stuff on this security assessment. And I don't know if, Sheriff Smith will be presenting that in his staff report,
You already did.
or he already
Staff
did?
report.
Okay. He didn't mention that. Okay. Well, we talked about sharing the security report so that you have all those recommendations for county.
Right, he told us they
He
came
told-
up and did it,
That you did. it.
Okay,
we just haven't seen the report.
Right.
okay. I'm sure he's planning on doing it too. ASAP. So,
It's good.
yeah, so it's been a little problematic. Dealing with this grant. Sorry about that.
She missed your announcement.
I was looking over to make sure. what
Okay, well,
Okay, well, that's the grant. And there's been a lot of grant activity, a lot of things that are still, we're cleaning up. The training, I have been attending training, just to give you a snapshot. Went to the wildfire conference and I invited a book author down here, to present at the library in the fall. It's a book about fire and mitigation. I think that'll be kind of a fun thing to maybe stimulate some interest in, doing work on your property, as homeowners. We also are, getting a meeting together to talk about borderline fires. We've had a couple of very small fires right on the border of Pueblo and Custer. And it's confusing if the people are being evacuated from Pueblo, yet the fire's on Custer on fire service land. So we're going to host a meeting next Wednesday of all of our contiguous bordering counties. We're going to include dispatch, all the emergency managers, and all the sheriffs will be invited. So that we can just talk about, do we need notifications that are above and beyond the, oh, we think the fire's over here? Do we need to have notifications that have contiguous county notifications? Because the fire that was off of 78 was actually all in Custer and on Forest Service land, but the evacuations were in Pueblo.
Downwind.
Yeah, and so we just think that, it would be better visibility, so we aren't like caught off guard without that notification. And it, we have a new recom communications director, Angela, who's the acting director. So maybe there are things that are just, need to be refreshed. I'm not sure. So anyway, that will be going on next week. I took the ICS 400 class in Pueblo last week. And we still are working towards that ICS EOC class, which we can enhance that cross-border information from the field to an EOC.
what time's that meeting start,
That meeting's at 10 on May 11th at the fire department. Okay. And then next week I'll be attending a home ignition fire prevention class in Douglas County on the 8th and 9th of May. And this has to do with building materials and mitigation placement and transmission of fire from, trees to homes, homes to homes, buildings, structures. So I think that'll be really good in-depth fire knowledge for me on the mitigation side. So lots of activities, planning on a wildfire preparedness day with some partners. That'll be May 13th at the fire department. There's a fire webinar series I've been attending, Wise About Fire. It's an evening series from 6 to 7:15. And those are different folks that get on the webinar and would like to emulate some of that throughout the summer. Been working on the contacts there. I know our folks are not as savvy for the technology and don't necessarily like to get on webinars. So we'll see if we can potentially do something like a live webinar, so have a hosted webinar where people can come and watch it among friends. And then you all know about the expensive oil pan repair, and I have heard nothing yet on if that's complete. They had to order parts, so
But you did give them the go ahead.
yes, I did. Mhm. And the Eastern IMT presented to our ESF 5 meeting for the South region. And that incident management team is willing to come when a fire is starting and deploy without charge for the first 48 hours. That would be really good if we needed a certain either planning section chief, logistics chief, operations chief, someone like that, if we couldn't find anyone locally, or if we needed the whole IMT. And their philosophy is that they essentially would come early. They'd like to get in early so that they aren't playing such catch up. Their experience has been that if the IMT is, brought in, that it takes them a little bit to, get going. So that's just something, we could talk a little bit more when it comes to a declaration or, delegation of authority, because essentially that would come from the Board of County Commissioners as a delegation of authority to that team to manage that incident. So I don't know if that's ever been done on a local emergency. I know it's been done through fire service for the type 1 team. Fire.
That I know.
Yeah, so that might be something to put in an exercise, see how that would work. No one likes to give up their authority, so that's definitely something we would want to talk through. I also have been working with the flood mapping group, and you probably know more about this than I do, but this FEMA flood mapping group has been working in the county. They, of course, want every jurisdiction to be in the FEMA firm program. And that is the 100-year floodplain mapping. If we were to be a part of that program, we would be part of the reimbursement for any flooding that happened. If we're not in the program, then there would be no FEMA reimbursement for infrastructure. And so it does put us a little bit at risk, but it also puts us in a position where we would have to adopt more building codes. And I know that is not the direction that most of the county is going, with, not much oversight on that. But we can talk more about that in the future if you're interested. I have told them that, we're interested in mapping, but I don't know if we're interested in any more detailed mapping, because a lot of the county is probably below the level of flooding, and therefore, if they were to rebuild, they would have to change the elevation, which means that you would have to elevate the property.
And we've taken a stance on that, as you're probably aware of, to move forward with that.
Yeah, so if you wanted any additional GIS mapping, to see where those areas are, to have more information, I can request that. It is a state-driven DNR project, so we can certainly ask for it. Just to make you aware, there was a cell panel on the variable message board that was failing, and so it is under warranty and has been shipped back to the company it was bought from, and they are going to replace it. Also, a part of COWIMS, I signed up for a COWIMS account, and that COWIMS is when the seats and the aircraft are doing their fire outlooks, that we can monitor what they're dumping up there and see what they're how many gallons they're dumping, either water or retardant. So that is good. Just the forecast. We do need that ratification of the EOP mentioned before. I'll be at the CSEP exercise. We have the CES meeting on May 11th. And that's the South Region Training and Exercise Plan Workshop, which is a requirement of EMPG. And we're hosting all the other counties in the afternoon on May 11th. And then we'll be deciding what the next year's training and exercise plan is. So if you have ideas on either exercises that you would like to do as county commissioners or be a part of, please let me know and we'll add that to the workshop for 2024. And so 1 year plan. So we're planning all of our training out for the next 12 months.
I've got that on my calendar, but I don't have a time.
1 o'clock at the fire department. It's a busy day.
Very,
Mhm,
meeting number 5.
mhm.
So I've already got a conflict out there.
I think probably the most important thing is if you feel like we should do an exercise that was, a wildfire or some other type of exercise, and you would like to practice the policy group or the elected officials group, or the, BOCC policy group, to how we make decisions, how we do the delegations, what information do you need? I think whenever we practice, it probably goes a little smoother in real life if we had to do that.
And you said that's at the firehouse.
Mhm. So email me your ideas on that so we can include that, or we can just standardly include that for, whatever is a good time. Obviously, summer is super busy, but, maybe in the fall or winter. As you know, Bill Christie has departed as of last Thursday. Thanks for your support on giving him a great send off, and he continues to be involved because he is very interested in hazardous materials and safety. So he actually emailed some information about the propane business that's scheduled to go in south of Westcliff, and asking a lot of safety questions about that. So I'm working with the fire chief and the sheriff so that we can put that forward at the local emergency planning commission meeting, and be, offering more information about.
Is that in the county or is it in West Cliff City?
It's in the city,
That's my thought.
Yeah.
So it's that planning commission.
that planning commission. So I'm working with Caleb on that as well. I think that's about it. Another busy month.
Yeah, it is. You're hitting the ground running. Thank you, Rob.
I know, I just continue to run. So that's just the way things go.
We'll run and
Thank
get a
you.
bid.
Yes, I will. I'm working on it. Rich is working on the bid. So, but thank you all.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Before we move into new business, I will call a short recess, and then we will come back and take up consideration Okay, welcome back. The time is now 11 a.m. We'll reconvene this meeting of the Custer County Board of Commissioners. We have finished up with our staff reports. We have no unfinished business. We will move on to new business. And the first item up would be the consideration of hiring a county attorney. We did put that on this agenda. We had initially had it at the month end and we needed some more time to get additional responses. We would open the floor up here at the table.
And
So I'll just pass out what the scoring was. That way you guys have that in front of you.
Sure.
It's just to fill the public in. We had interviews last week with the two firms that sent in proposals, and as you mentioned, we decided to give that a little bit more time, one with Bill being out of the office, and we went back and asked for a best and final offer from each of them as well, which I sent to you all. And I can announce that out loud. I guess that would be prudent.
Yeah.
So Dan Slater came back and said that $135 an hour was his best and final offer. And then Curtis Tommy reached back out and said that $125 an hour would be his best and final offer. So all of the information is now in your hands.
Well, no, I would state that going down through, I know I scored them a little differently down through there. In the end, I came up pretty close on my scoring for both individuals. I think that we would be well served whichever way that we end up going here today. But once again, I guess I would open it up here to you gentlemen. If you have anything you would like to add on that, I just would like to say that it was on my scoring on our interviews, came out very close at the end. Different strengths, different weaknesses on both counts.
Yeah, mine was close also, but in fact, I think I scored Dan Slater higher. And the reason was, various reasons. One is he's got a lot of county experience, municipal experience in this county specifically, including our own county, working with our humans services group. And because of that tipped the scale for me. The other candidate, Tommy, didn't have this no county experience. He had county experience in Texas, but it was criminal law. It was trial kinds of things, not working county issues necessarily. So that candidate would have quite a ways to go catching up with things, learning curve, but I think he probably could learn. So that's why I did what I did, and I would recommend the best value. It's $10 an hour difference. It would still be Dan Slater. My thoughts.
Anything from you, sir?
oh, I scored him very closely. I had 1 point difference between two candidates. Would be comfortable with either one. I agree with you. There were some strengths and weaknesses on both candidates. Toss up for me.
Well, moving on, then I would move that we not select Dan Slater as our county attorney. Best value.
Second. Discussion. Further discussion.
Well, I thought it was good that he was going to charge us office out of Canyon City instead of Colorado Springs. I thought that was an advantage for us financially speaking.
I would agree with Commissioner Candace's comments as well as to his experience working with the different government entities. You're moving forward as well and with our own human services. Anything else? Okay. That being said, would we be taking any public comment on this vote? I think so. Any public input on this here today?
None online.
Nothing online, seeing nothing from them. Go ahead, Ann.
I appreciate the process you all have gone through. I vetted both of them as best I could on the computer and agree with your comments and the strong consideration either way.
I don't think we would be hurt either way. Thank you. And nothing online, so I do have a motion on the floor then to accept the proposal from Dan Slater for county attorney. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. And I believe Dan is online, so, but if you could reach out to him as well. That would be greatly appreciated.
Takes the evidence.
Yep.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Slater.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to working with you.
And you as well.
Yep, congratulations, Dan, and we'll see more of you, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will.
And I'm assuming you heard that Mr. Wilson will be reaching out to you here shortly.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you, sir, and from me as well, welcome.
Information for us. Email phone number. from him.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Braden. Okay, next item up would be our consideration of appointment of Vince Cook, member of the Noxious Weed Board. The appointment of Vince Cook to the Noxious Weed Board through January 1 of 2024.
And if I can speak to that, sir.
Yes.
So I had spoken with Vance earlier. He had an intention to attend those meetings, as him and I both agreed probably would be appropriate, but we never formally had him or the previous, well, I take it back, previous Bridge supervisor. You know, he wasn't either, so we thought we better formalize that as a member so that he can count towards our quorum when we do have a meeting. I meant to ask him if he had anything to say about that this morning during his staff report about it. And I've spoken to him previously, so I would move that we appoint Vince Cook to the Noxious Weed Board through January 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, so have a motion on the floor to appoint Vince Cook to the Noxious Weed Board through 1/1 of 2024. Discussion.
And that appointment may change. The weed board is looking at their bylaws and they're thinking about extending that out to a 3-year term, which I think will be wise.
And by, you said the other day that you're having problems with people
Yeah.
making meetings.
Well, Yeah, we are. Last week, we had a weed board meeting and 2 people did not show up, so we didn't have a quorum. And the bylaws also are gonna address the number of members on that board. It was 10, they don't believe they need that many. So we'll see how things go, but I think events, of course, will be an integral part of that with coordinating with the new, excuse me, the new weed manager and bring him on board for getting the county rights of way straight.
And they, a lot of that involves the road and bridge as
Yeah,
well, and even to the point of scheduling when we mow and everything like that. So I think that would be a good thing. Any public comment on that? Seeing none, those in favor of appointing Vince Cook as a member of the Noxious Weed Board through January 1, 2024, signify by saying aye.
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 That motion carries. Next item would be the consideration of appointment of Lori Lund as a member of the Custer County Recycles Board through January 1 of 2026.
Yeah, she attended our last meeting and is wanting to come on board. Bess Cole was our rep from Westcliff, but she moved out of state. So this would be a replacement member on the board.
I move that we appoint Lori Lund as a member of the Custer County Recycle Board.
I'll second that. Thank you.
Okay, so I do have a motion on the floor to appoint Lori Lund as a member of the Custer County Recycles Board through January 1, 2026. Further comments?
I believe she volunteered to serve as a secretary for that board, so that was a big help as well.
It would be. Any public comment? All right, seeing none, those in favor of appointing Lori Lund as a member of the Custer County Recycles Board through January 1, 2026, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, that motion carries. Next item would be the consideration of ratifying contract for the CDPHE IMM core services. That is in regards to our immunizations through public health. We do have a number Custer dash 2024 asterisk 0021.
I would move that we ratify that. Commissioner Candace signing that contract.
I would second that motion. Any further comments on that?
Well, I wouldn't try to convince you gentlemen that I understood all of it and looked up all the references.
A
But
lot of it.
oh my gosh. Yeah. But it's continuation of the
Same contract.
contract we had.
Okay, any public comment?
And we were up against the wall to get it signed for whatever the reason for it.
Seems like when they come to our attention.
They're always too late.
All right, I'm seeing nothing online, nothing here in the room. So those in favor of ratifying the contract, the CDPHE IMM Core Services contract, signify by saying aye.
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 Right.
Okay, that was our last item of business today, unless any of you gentlemen have any further items of business.
No, sir.
Done here.
I would open it up for public comment at this time, if anyone has anything they'd like to address. Seeing none here. none
Nothing online since it's me and you.
That's it. Now we have
Guys agree with
the
each other.
Al, me, you and the Al. So,
The owls better not say anything.
and we have no executive session today, so that being the case, I would adjourn this meeting at 11:15 a.m.
Hey,